Welcome into the Creed of Crypto podcast, where we provide immersive, essential, and evergreen strategies for the novice cryptocurrency investor. How you doing? I am one half of your host, Broke Boi Crypto. I have here with me as well, as you can see live on stream. The beard is still flowing. It is Crypto Ewok with me as well. A lot to talk about tonight. The market is hot. Is the bear market over? We're going to talk about that tonight and a whole lot more. Ewok, how are you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Lovely to see some green candles for a change, six or seven in a row, maybe 6 or 8 out of the last 10 anyway.
I agree. Yes. Things have been looking good the last couple of days in the market, and I think it's caught a lot of people off guard. We've been in this like crazy bearish trend, which long term we still are for so long that I think this is really catching people off guard. They weren't expecting this kind of price action out of nowhere. And you're kind of seeing it just in some of the narratives that some people are talking about. Like I'm seeing people like, oh, I got to take profits. Or why didn't I buy more at the bottom? Like they think that this is it, which is going to lead to a whole other disaster for them here in a few days, probably. But before we really dive into that, we want to let you know where you can follow us. My name is Broke Boi Crypto. Boi is BOI. You can find me on YouTube at that address, as well as Twitter. And Ewok, tell them where they can find you.
Likewise, Crypto Ewok, both Twitter and YouTube. Give us a follow, like the stream if you find some value in it. And we're streaming on both sides actually tonight. So both channels have it live.
We're on both channels live. If you happen to enter the chat and have something you want to talk about, please do let us know. Although we do have a loaded show. But yeah, it's so weird to see because we've seen price action down so much, and even the Moon Boys have kind of given up hope here and stuff. Suddenly, you get a couple of big green red, a couple of big green candles the last couple of days, and it's as if the bear market is over, and everybody's scrambling like shit. Why didn't I buy more at the bottom? FOMO activation instantaneously. It's insane. I don't know if you're seeing people saying this stuff here and there. What is kind of the consensus seeming like to you just from observing the space?
Oh yeah, Twitter, you can definitely see attitudes of changing. All the infighting is done. It's amazing what happens when you get some positive price movement. People kind of forget about whatever they were pissed off about yesterday or the day before, and suddenly everyone's in a good mood. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of positive sentiment, but let's not get overly excited here.
Well, let's answer the question in the clickbait thumbnail right away. No, the bear market is not over, probably not even close. We're not at all out of a bearish trend. It's one in what could be many bear market rallies. Now, this one happens to just really be hitting us hard psychologically, I think, because it's been like 2 months of literally trading in this tight little wee space, which we've been talking about, of between like 18.5 K BTC to about 20-ish. And I should say we are at 20.7 K for BTC right now and about 1565 for ETH. But I think that's why. I think we've just been in this like really narrow channel. I mean, do you think it's that? What all do you think it is?
Yeah, it's boredom. There's so much negativity, so much just bad news all over the place. And again, when people see some green candles, it gets exciting. It's been a long time. It's been about a year of downward price action. And I think, the littlest bit of positivity, it's good for people, but unfortunately, I hope they don't get complacent and think we're on our way back up,
Right. We actually have a comment here from Comet Scribbles. Can't really see because I have my brightness down, so the glare doesn't come off my glasses. But he says bear market is not over until minimum 2024.
I think that's a little far out.
Well, here's what I think that question poses. I agree with you, but here's what it actually brings up. What do you consider the end of the bear market? I know we've talked about this before, but is it when we start trading above like a certain MA? Is it when we start to see a few weeks or whatever green candles? Like, what is it that actually marks the end of it? What do we have to see?
Good question.
Is that interesting? Like, like you say, good question. It is interesting because it's like we live and die, and I just mean the crypto space, by these like definitive terms like bear market, bull market, bear market. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's really just about, I mean, the history of Bitcoin is a bull market. It's all about like your time horizon.
Yeah,
You know?
it's more about patterns. I think, obviously coins are not going to go up and up forever until bear market hits, and then down and down and down and down. You see positive and negative price action during both runs. So it's a matter of, like we had said before, there's a lot of things that still need to happen for this to be completely over. However, I still think that Hex is a bit decorrelated from the rest of the markets. So it could play, a different tune here. We reached the top in September of last year for Hex.
Right.
Bitcoin didn't hit its second top until November 17th or 18th. So, it's a couple months ahead. And, there aren't many trading pairs with Ethereum. Obviously, I don't know, there might be one exchange that has a Bitcoin pair, but there's such low liquidity for Bitcoin or Ethereum to really matter. Most of the price liquidity is tied to USDC. So it doesn't really matter what the rest of the markets do. Hex kind of drives its own train, and that's what we saw the last market. Obviously, this last bear market, though, everything went down just because of the state of the affairs of everything,
Right.
inflation rising and all of that good stuff. So, that definitely played a part in it. But again, I think Hex beats to its own drum. So we'll see what happens in the next few days if we can continue some of these, capitulation candles. I think the bear market could be over for the Hexicans. There's
Yeah. It's
also wait,
Go
I
ahead.
one more thing. There's also word and rumors of PulseChain getting closer and closer too. So that could play a part in this too. And again, if a couple weeks go by and we still don't hear any news, that could be some negative pressure as well that kind of defeats the run that we're seeing right now. So think about that.
That is interesting, and I am seeing a lot of Hex people talk about. I mean, talk about Hex being like decorrelated or different from the rest of the crypto market. It's so funny with this pump the last few days. Hex began pumping literally like a day before the rest of the market did. It started to break to the upwards of 3 cents, which it has been seemingly pegged to between 3 and 3.5 cents for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
And it crushed and touched 5, I believe, at one point today. But yeah, then the rest of the market began following, and you are seeing. I'm noticing from the Hex community. I mean, some people I'm seeing. I mean, they're acting like definitively the bottom is in now, which I do get, because that's a dramatic increase over just a few days. I mean, it's not as if it just pumped 10%. I mean, we're talking about like, the lows of the threes to. I mean, we're talking like a 30% pump over a
Sure.
few days. So I do get that. And you see people FOMOing and having that FOMO attitude, like, God damn, why didn't I buy more at the 3 cent range? Why didn't I buy more at 3 cent? Because, and I think like with BTC, when this whole thing is over and we're moving up, they're going to, I mean, look at how many chances to buy Bitcoin you have had at 19,000. I mean, it has been at 19,000 the most of the last few months, like for the
Right.
better part of 4 months.
Yeah.
And I think like so many people are just going to have that attitude, and maybe let this be a lesson, hopefully, to the people that are hopefully even still here paying attention right now, this wicked pump up, to let you know when we do break out of this, there are times where it can go kind of quick. So don't buy right now. I certainly wouldn't be buying right now. I think we go down again, obviously. But remember, when you're down there again, it isn't going to last forever. I think we're talking about this. What are the lows? What are the lows? Oh, I think 12K for BTC and everything. That may still happen. That may still be out there. But 12K and 19K aren't really all that far apart in the long run. And you need to remember to be DCAing, and you don't know what the bottom is going to be. You're not going to hit it. You are not going to buy the bottom. Like, it's just, if you do, it was mostly happenstance. But what are your thoughts on some of that, Ewok?
Well, if you want to catch it, you better have limit orders set.
Right.
It's really the only way, because, like you said, it's going to happen fast. Whatever the bottom ends up being, we don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. But traditionally it's been about an 85% drop, which puts us, between 10 and 11,000. So we'll see if it does that. It's never done a double top either. So this could be a different cycle. Set your limit orders. Have some at 15, have some at 14, 13. It depends on how low you want to catch it. It may go there, it may not. But if it does, you'll be prepared. So,
right. Yeah, definitely. Don't think that you're going to just absolutely nail the bottom and, be scaling into the market if you're not already in it. It's going to be interesting. And we're talking about, we have some catalysts here that may affect the market a little bit more. Nobody, I've seen all kinds of meanings assigned to this recent pump. As always, it's always like, oh, I think it was this, it was whatever. If you're talking about it, it likely has already been priced in, a few days prior. But in the United States, we do have a couple of very interesting things happening here within the next 2 weeks. We've talked about this ad nauseum, and you and I are pretty much consensus, and I think even more so now that we've seen this price action to the up angle, that these FOMC meetings next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, November the 1st and 2nd, where the Fed plans to meet again. And the last time we talked, you said that you think we're only going to get a 50-point rate hike. I'm actually warming a little bit more to that. The more that I have kind of heard sentiment, with the pleading of other countries in the world, the Fed themselves, I forget who it was specifically, but kind of floating out there that they think maybe they are causing more ill intent than they meant to with all of these hikes. 75 is definitely priced in, I think. They've been expecting 75. Everybody has been expecting 75. If we get 50, this pump that we have just seen the last few days, which I think will probably hang around these prices until, maybe dip a little bit going into the FOMC next week. But if we only get 50, we're going to see more pump after next Wednesday. I can almost assure you that. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, like you said, things are priced in a lot. And if they've priced in 75 and we only get 50, well, it's got to probably make it up somewhere. So I think you will see a little bit of a pump, some more excitement, some, it'll be taken as good news that we may be out of this whole, upward swing of these rates. So, but yeah, I'm still set on 50, and I think it will be met with some bullish sentiment as well.
Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, I could see us pumping up. I think people forget like how often bear market rallies can happen and just how severe they can be. I was watching our friend, not real friend, but a guy we both like, Crypto Kirby on YouTube today. He's actually, after being pretty dormant over the last couple of months because nothing's been happening, right. He's had like 3 videos in the last week. And, he was talking about the possibility that while this seems doubtful, I mean, you could see BTC go to the high 20s. You could see a 28K and still be in the bear market and still see new lows. It would just kind of push out the time frame of it a little bit further. But there is that possibility. Now, I don't think that will happen. I would think more like maybe we could revisit that 24 to 25 range that we saw kind of towards the middle and end of the summer. But people should realize that just because we see prices that we haven't seen for 6 months nearly does not mean that we're out of the trend. And I think a lot of people that are even smart people are going to be baited into that.
Yep.
I mean, just today, and we're guilty of it too, because we want viewers, but people everywhere are like, it's just the end of the bear market,
Well, nothing wrong with a little clickbait.
No.
I will strongly warn against, I mean, we have not that many viewers, but for the ones listening, please don't place long if you start to see it go up, because yes, this is not over. And it will get people liquidated again, because they'll think it is, and they'll place a long thinking that was the bottom, and here we go. And next thing you know, liquidations happen, and then we reach more, lower lows. So just be careful. Use your judgment. It's not over yet. So
yeah, I think we're at the point now that we've seen this pump, that even if we do get the priced in 75 basis points, I think we're basically pumping after FOMC again, no matter what. Like I said, I think that there could be a dip heading into it, because that something like that traditionally does happen. But yeah, anything outside of 100, which seems about not a high probability of happening, I think we continue to see pump. Um, but that doesn't change. And this is what we've continued to say over and over again. And it's happened over and over again because it takes time for these things to pan out. But I don't think we have really seen the real world effects yet on what some of these rate hikes and with some of these larger economical decisions, the effects that it's actually going to have on the economy. I don't think we've seen that. We haven't really seen massive amounts of people losing jobs or anything yet. We think probably after the midterms, regardless of the results, even though we're going to get into that in a minute, and I think we both feel the results are going to be fairly one-sided, but I don't think we hear the R word, recession, if we do hear it at all, until after then, of course.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like, I still believe that the most pain, and maybe it won't be as low as everybody has previously thought, but I still think the most pain is still ahead around the holidays. And yeah, I mean, you can criticize me or anybody else left and right for saying, well, you were saying like early November before, and now you're the holidays. Now you're saying towards Christmas. Well, when you have new data, you reassess a little bit,
Yep.
and
You have to pivot.
Right. So, and it's not a huge pivot, but I do think that we said a couple of weeks ago, I loved this thesis that we agreed on, that we thought maybe towards like Thanksgiving time after the midterms, we could possibly see the new lows or the start of the new lows. And yeah, a good month there between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It'd be an interesting time frame.
Well, and who knows what happens with the primaries, with the elections. It could go completely opposite of what we think, which could cause fear. It could happen much quicker, than we anticipate because of the way things turn out. So it's hard to say. Again, if we only had that crystal ball, we'd tell you a little bit better. But I agree. I think closer to Thanksgiving, we should see the movement in one direction or another to see which way we're headed, and you'll get a much more clear picture, I think, around then.
Yeah.
So it's just my anticipated, timing on it.
Well, there's going to be a lot of things kind of geopolitically that could shake it up here. I mean, first off, like I said, the FOMC, again, if we get 50, that not only will be lower than what's priced in, but I think that it will also signal that we're not going to see much more of this, the rate hikes.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, which would lead to a lot of short-term bullish sentiment.
Yeah.
And then in the midterms, what I was alluding to, that we, and I think the majority of anybody that has their eyes open in America, thinks that Republicans are going to, or about overwhelmingly, but I think they're going to do well in these midterms just because people, not to get overly political, but chances are if you're watching this, you side a little bit more in the middle or the right when it comes to economical policy. But yeah, and I would think that would be possibly continued bullishness. Maybe I'm just overrating that or assigning too much reason to it. But I would think that if there is this theoretical red wave, as everybody likes to say, that would be liked by most financial people.
Yeah, I agree. But what I was saying is if somehow the Democrats pull it out, I think that could be very bearish. That's where I was going with what I was saying. So, but I agree with you. I agree with what the sentiment is and, what we think is going to happen. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah. What would that look like to you? Because like frankly, I'm not paying enough attention to the scope of all 50 states or anything like that. But what do you think that would look like if the Democrats did surprisingly do well? I don't know. Like, what do you think the reaction would be like? Because I don't think really anybody that's paying attention is expecting that.
I don't either. I don't think it will be met with much positivity at all. I think if that does happen, it's going to pave a way for a completely different 2024 election. I think people are going to wake up and, see what's really happening, and it's not good. It's not
Yeah, the
good. And
hammer
like you
might be put
said,
down.
yeah, I think the hammer will be put down. But we still haven't seen, like you said, the long-term effects of the rates increasing. It takes a long time for that stuff to play out, and reach the broader markets as far as jobs go, as far as the economy, the housing markets. It takes a lot longer than just a few months for it to play out, and they think it's going to fix it right away. I think it was too aggressive, too quick. Um, I think it's gonna cause a lot of bad things to happen. Food shortages, fuel prices. There's going to be a lot more. The transportation industry could get crippled, which means your goods and services, the things that you buy daily, you're not going to be there. So it's going to get ugly, I think, if they continue to keep this up.
Yeah, yeah, there's certainly going to be ripple effects. You do start to see, we are seeing a sentiment though that it seems like they are going to be backing off the aggressive rate hikes. Again, already hearing people saying that they don't want to cause more damage than they meant to. So, yeah, I could see it being eased off, and if we get 50 here or even 75, again, 50 would really sound the alarm that they're backing off. But the next one isn't going to be until January. And who knows? They may quit by then. They may not even be doing them anymore by then. So, uh, very interesting quarter 4 here. It's interesting because this same time frame last year, at this time, still many people thought that we were still bullish at the time. I mean, like, that we were in a bullish trend. A lot of people still expected more new all-time highs, which we did technically get within about a month. But now here we are, and it's like, oh man, the blood is coming. So one calendar year later, we're like almost as geared up for the bearishness as we were the bullishness last year at this time, which I just think is like an interesting take. And it makes me wonder, kind of like you said a minute ago about the double top, and we don't historically do that.
Mhm.
What if most people think that we are going to go lower. If you check any like crypto polls, it's like, is the bottom in? It's like 70% no.
Yeah.
So what if it is? Or what if we just hit it again?
Well, it's one of those things too. When a lot of people expect it's it's weird. So sentiment usually tells you to do the opposite. Um,
Mhm.
and when everybody is feeling this way, it leads me to believe one of two things. Either they have been listening to the right people, or they've been around, long enough to know this not over yet. So hopefully the education of the space overall has grown with time too. And people are getting a little bit more smart,
Right.
more used to these cycles. Uh, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's also it's important to like take the temperature of who it is you're getting that pull from, whoever it might be. Like if it's a prominent trader or something on Twitter, well, chances are his audience is a pretty advanced um crypto space. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's some kind of like, you know, uh name some political channel, I don't know, or some economics channel or something like that, they aren't going to be able to really know what they're talking about. So yeah, it's interesting. So we shall see. Going to be interesting next couple of weeks here with the midterms coming up as well. But yeah, Andrew in the house. Andrew, how's it going?
Andrew's in the house.
Nice,
Well,
nice.
glad you could make it, buddy.
So I have a question for you, Ewok, and I like to always default to you when it comes to past bear markets, past cycles, really, when it comes to crypto. And I've been seeing these videos lately, and I'm really interested to get your thoughts. But there's this narrative that, first off, we have a lot of people that are very hopeful that whatever their bag holding from, this past year and this last bull run and everything, although it's down 80-90% right now, it's going to make all-time highs by 2025. You know what I mean? And they're just like guaranteeing that to themselves. And that may happen. I mean, it very well could. It depends on what it is. But the question I have for you is there's a lot of these videos going around of, I keep seeing this thing where there's only 3 coins that have hit new all-time highs in consecutive bull markets. And the narrative is usually that it's like Bitcoin, ETH, and Cardano or something like that, which is true for all three of those, although with Cardano, not by a lot. It's kind of like the, whatchamacallit? Why can't I think of it? The insect that won't go away? Why can't I? Cockroach. Yeah. No offense to Charles Hoskinson, but first off, it isn't true. First off,
it's not true.
I get so pissed when I see it because it is not true. It's just this thing that people keep floating around.
Yeah.
I think for clicks or something. I don't know, but there are other ones that certainly have done it, although maybe not by much.
Well,
I will say.
I think Doge did it. I think Tron did it. I think.
Yeah. Is there
Zilliqa? I think Binance did it.
Oh yeah.
I think. I mean, we probably go on and on. I probably look here.
Stellar may have. I don't know.
Stellar might have.
Ripple. It probably would have, right? I don't
know. No, I don't think Ripple did. I think Ripple made it up to like 450 in 2017, and then this last one, it only got up to 2 or 3.
Okay,
I don't even have XRP.
But like, it's not that big a deal. But like Monero, like someone's like that. Basically, what we're getting at is a lot of these kind of lame ducks from 2017 maybe slightly beat their all-time highs from that previous cycle. So there's a lot of people citing this narrative is what I'm trying to say. And what they're saying, well, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, it has to have a product market fit, right? I mean, it can't be just a bunch of promises. And that's what a lot of these coins have turned into. Cardano is a perfect example. They said they were going to get smart contracts. They said they were going to do all this stuff. And here we are, and nobody's really putting smart contracts on Cardano yet. So, they're just empty promises of a company saying that they're going to do a bunch of stuff, and it's not coming to fruition. So, that's one of the things that you really want to take into consideration when you look at these coins is, does it have product market fit? Will it survive and go on to do all-time, new all-time highs? So, I think that's one of the most important things that you really have to look at.
And that's the interesting thing. Again, like we said, it isn't necessarily true that it's only been 3 coins. But what I'm curious about, you were kind of just saying this about how a lot of these just being promises and everything. Do you think, though, because 2017 crypto versus 2021, 2022 crypto is vastly different. I mean, we are talking about a time warp. I mean, totally different environment. Do you think maybe it's just that some of those coins from that time sucked? I mean, do you think maybe we're in a new era now? Like I'm thinking of like EOS, Neo, some of these bastions in 2017 that are, for all intents and purposes, like dead now. IOTA,
right?
Well,
I think a lot of them had good intentions. I just don't think they had the coders and the developers to bring it to fruition. So that was part of the problem. And then, this past bull market, we started to see a lot of DeFi happening. People really enjoyed the DeFi because here we are, decentralized finance, back to why crypto was invented, was to get rid of these middlemen. And then, it kind of started to play and point the finger at the ones that really weren't DeFi, who claimed to be DeFi. And there were still middlemen injected into the equation somewhere or someplace throughout the coins. And, and then they started to die off too. So, it's a constant thinning of the herd. It's, reward the ones that are doing what they're supposed to do. And you'll make out pretty well.
Yeah, you bring up good points. Yeah, because like that's another DeFi is really this last bull market was DeFi. Like that was really what it was driven by, and I think there's going to be a lot of reason for DeFi to continue to be the driver as we go into the next one, because obviously with regulations and stuff, there are people that scurried out of crypto because of potential regulations with DeFi and them being afraid of what it was going to mean for them and everything and all that. So I think we're going to have improvements to DeFi. And there will still be a lot of great DeFi protocols as we head into 2025, 24, 25, and people really get the value of it. Because like you said, We've been talking about Zen on this podcast a lot. Obviously, we talk about Hex a lot. I'm a big advocate of Phantom. There's a lot of really great DeFi products out there that are offering, like you said, what crypto is supposed to be about. No KYC, privacy, owning your own keys and everything, as well as, let's not forget, crazy yield as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So that I get that. I'll reiterate the question to you. Like, on average, do you think more coins that maybe launched, we'll say between 2020, 2021, that have hit, obviously a high back in 2021 at the last highs, do you think there may be more this time around into the next bull cycle that crush new all-time highs again compared to like 2017 to 2021? Because there's so few from 2017 to 2021. I mean, right. I can't even really,
they're few and far between. There's a few out there still. But so was your question, will they survive, or will there be more new ones that come out that crush?
No, what I guess what I'm saying is, let me just give some specifics. So like, let's just look at like the top 10 to 15. So you've got like, Solana's kind of a bad example, but just with their outages and everything. But Solana, Polkadot, Matic, what else is up here? I'm forgetting. And not the cockroaches. I'm talking about like newer ones, maybe like a AVAX or something like that. I'm just trying to think of ones like kind of up near the top.
Polkadot, Shiba, Tron.
Okay. So I mean, those. I guess
really, there's not much. The top 10.
You're right. Yeah, it
Bitcoin,
really peters
Ethereum, Tether, Binance, BNB, USDC, XRP.
It peters out quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, Binance, USD. So you figure 1, 2, 3 of the top 10 are stable coins.
Right.
Cardano, Solana, Doge, Poly, Polkadot, DAI.
So let's do this. Let's do this. So I guess I'll include Solana, although there's other reasons out there that would lead you to believe it won't do that great ever again. Although there's a lot of money behind it, and that's something that people should remember. But so Solana, Matic, Polkadot, AVAX. I'll go down to even like Chainlink. Like some of these that have had some success to varying degrees, but really feels like they didn't get to like the heights that may have been ultimately possible for them. Maybe those ones I just named are the ones that really come back and blow off again in the next bull run. And then some other ones, the select ones down below it. But some of those, it just feels like they didn't get off their feet really. You know what I mean? And I'm just wondering if, I just personally can't see something like a Polkadot with who's behind it and everything barely beating its all-time high of like $55 next bull run. You know what I mean? I see it going insane.
Yeah, I think half of them will. And it really, a lot of it stems back to the community that's behind it. You've got some of these diehard communities that will push a coin and make it do those all-time highs. You got other ones that kind of fizzle out that don't have a whole lot to push them forward. So I would say about half of them will make it. They might do okay. They're not going to like jet past their previous all-time high, I don't think. But they might surpass it a little bit, play around at the same level. And then, for those type of coins that really don't do a whole lot, then by the next cycle, they'll be gone. So it's usually how it plays out. You've got those coins that kind of just hang around long enough to be there, but they're not doing anything. That they're not developing. They're not improving on what they have. So they just kind of fizzle out and or run out of money.
Right. So. Well, this leads me to the question. So what these people would have you believe, the ones that are calling out, oh yeah, only 3 coins have ever hit a new all-time high in consecutive bull runs, which again isn't actually true. No. But what they would have you believe is that means, and I'm not saying this is wrong. I think, like, again, much like you just said, you have to pick your spots with this. But what they would have you believe is you have to get in the hot new thing, like the next biggest gainer for the next bull run. You don't know what it is yet. Now that's probably true. I will say that probably is true right now. And it may also be something that any wise person probably shouldn't invest in anyway, because it could be another dog coin or something.
Could very well be, yeah.
Right. But what do you think about that? Like, is there a market out there for somebody who wants to do this that, Hex was like this. And I know Hex is the reason I haven't brought up Hex is because it does trade differently to the rest of the market. And I'm talking more about like what I guess like legacy people would be looking at, because they just ignore Hex for now, keyword.
For now.
But do you think there's something to be said? And again, this is what I said Hex also did for these coins that launch right now. Like we just saw Aptos do this launch. Zen just launched a few weeks ago. I think there's another semi-significant one coming up that I've already forgotten. But these ones over the next calendar year that continue to launch right now in this bear market, I'm not saying that they're going to be the best product, and they probably are not, let's face it. But because they're so early and are launching at this time, like Richard Hart did with Hex, do you think there might just be the best room to grow for them, even if they aren't the best products? And is there a market out there for people to just solely invest that way? Like, hey, I'm just going to put my bets on what launches right now.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can always, the launching at the bottom is probably the best time for your numbers to show the most price action. It doesn't get much better than straight up, because if everything else goes up, it's going to pull it with it. But again, I wouldn't play that game because most people don't know when to get out, and that's the hard part, because they ride it. Sure. They think it's going to go forever, and then they miss the top, and then they hold it for way too long, and then it never comes back, or it fails miserably, and there's a rug pull. Or the company goes bankrupt, or you don't know what's behind it. So that's why I stick with telling people Hex is a finished product. It's done. It's there is no improvements to it. It works fine. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. And once people realize that, the legacy world, I think we'll, at that point, maybe after this cycle, we'll see more mass adoption, and it probably will take 2 cycles to get that whole scam narrative out of the way. Like, my God, Ponzi's don't normally last for 6 or 7 years here. What's going on?
Right. Yeah. How long do you keep saying Ponzi? Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it could take that long for the legacy to get into Hex, but that's why now I tell people is the time to be buying it. And acquiring your T-shares, because they're getting more and more scarce every day. So,
yeah,
I hate to circle back to it, but again, it's one of the old reliable, that does what it's supposed to do, and some of these other ones, that you may get lucky. You never know. You could get lucky on some of the bare bottom, coins if you put some money in here and there, throw in a couple $100 here and there, whatever. But again, if you go with if it's tried and true, I still think you have better odds of being more successful.
Yeah, and I guess I am talking about a somewhat calculated risk. Like another coin I probably should have mentioned. Now this has been out for a couple of months now, but Optimism, which is another one that's come out recently. Oh, Arbitrum, I think, is the other one I had in the back of my mind. I think there's an airdrop coming, but some of these that like. It's not just any single little thing that comes along. Like these are everything I just named is in the top 100 in market cap. So, I mean, it's ones that have like some publicity behind them. And I'm not advocating to do any of this. I'm just wondering, because a lot of people out there advocate for that strategy to like, hey, just buy the stuff that launches like now, and if you do, I agree with you. It's something that you should only put a little bit into. And because you need to have a plan, you need to know the plan to the end, the moment that you invest in those, because when the gains start to come, I mean, it'll just be like a green candle like this whenever the market pops off again. Yep. And you got to know what you're going to do. Like, Are you selling at every 2x? What are you going to do? What are you going to put it back into? See, and the other thing with that too is, if all you're doing is just coattail riding, like if all you're doing is just grabbing, 2 or 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents, 60 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents, 100 cents, something in the bear market that you don't even have, let's not pretend that you can't do any fundamental analysis here. You know what I mean? Like, know what it is. What do you actually want to be invested in because you believe in it? Like, are you going to put it back into Ethereum? Or are you going to put it back in Bitcoin? Are you going to put it in Hex? What are you going to do? I just think it's an interesting theory to try to do that. I'm not going to do it. I just have seen people talking about it. But I do wonder, like, I just think I can't help but escape the theory. And I'm sorry I keep banging on this. I just think it's interesting. But I just feel like it's stupid that people are saying this, 3 coins have only hit new all-time highs in consecutive bull markets. Like, this market isn't that old. I mean, it's only like 12 or 13 years old. So, like, why would you be holding on to that as concrete fact?
It's only our 4th cycle.
Right.
Overall, and Bitcoin was on its own for 5 years. So maybe not quite. There was Litecoin and Doge.
Theoretically, though.
But yeah, I mean, essentially it was by itself. It was one of the only ones. But yeah, this is only our 4th cycle. So, if you're going to play that in and out game, I would recommend using a stable coin, to get in and out and back to a stable. But like you said, you've got to have a plan before it happens and not be like, oh crap, now what do I do? Think it out, have measured moves, do the right thing. And again, I'm not advocating for it. I think it's a losing proposition.
Right.
But some people may do okay with it.
Yeah, I think it could be long term. It's something to be cautious with. Just seeing weird stuff happening on Twitter here. A lot of interesting stuff happening on Twitter today. We have Elon Musk walking around in the Twitter headquarters. We have I've seen some interesting clips of some midterm debates here in the U.S. Just some interesting things. Let's get into a little bit of Hex specific stuff, some Pulse specific stuff. You were just now. I heard you say this earlier, and I wanted you to expand on it. You said that there's been some rumblings or something that you feel like, and I feel like I have heard this a million times, I'm not going to lie, but that you feel like Pulse is even closer. We're certainly seeing super bullish action with Hex right now.
Yeah.
But what do you got for us?
Well, I've just heard some rumors, and and I don't know if it's more to pump the group up, get them all excited again. But again, because we're forking Ethereum instead of Binance, it can't be that far away. I mean, we're using the consensus. They've already done a lot of work behind the scenes for the other one that is probably usable, in this fork. And because it's a tried and true software that you're forking, it speeds things up. Definitely speeds things up. I have heard rumblings that we could get a testnet version 3 here in November, and potentially launch on Hex's birthday, which is December 3rd. Just a rumor. Don't hold me to that, please. But wouldn't that be cool to get PulseChain
Sure.
3 years later on the birthday?
Especially at the time we're in right now, it would be great timing. Yeah,
I think so too. So I think there's a lot of good sentiment. I'm just happy, like I said, that the infighting is done for now anyway, and people are kind of celebrating and enjoying it a little bit better this time. So we got another comment here.
Yeah, I was just telling him I agree. Talked to him a few times on YouTube. Let's Get Free TV. So he doesn't think that the Bears are finished. Another big dip coming, in his opinion. And yeah, I mean, that's really what you're going to hear from both of us. I don't know what the specific catalyst will be down. I get sick of people trying to assign one big thing to it. I think it's what we've been saying is that all these long-term effects just are not taking real world effect yet.
Right.
Know?
Yep.
I think that's.
I agree. And, again, I don't know if that person was here at the beginning either, but, I still think that Hex is decorrelated enough to where if Bitcoin and Ethereum and the others do that big dip, Hex might not be affected near as bad.
Oh yeah,
It
right,
could have a slight pullback, but we're already close to a double. One more cent, and we're at 6 cents, which is twice what it just was 3 weeks ago.
right.
So, we'll see.
I do agree with you. Yeah, I definitely could see the hex bottom being in. I'm way more confident in that than I am the BTC bottom. And again, just because it front runs the market, it would make sense as we're on the precipice of November that hex would reveal itself to be, unfurling from this bear market, and then BTC does maybe by January or so. Maybe even a
Yeah,
little bit further out, but yeah,
yeah.
I am with you there.
So I did want to actually share my screen real quick,
Sure.
and show the liquidity for Hex here. I want to.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot going on about this. You were telling me a little bit about it in the green room, if you will. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, and we'll check it out on the screen
So
share here.
this is apphex.win, and if you go right over here, it says the Uniswap pools. There's only 83 million hex for sale. You've got 49 million in USDC on version 3. There's a little bit of ETH here, 14 million paired with ETH on version 3. And then these are both version 2, ETH and USDC. So there isn't much. There isn't much hex for sale. And when you look at, I forget where it is. There was a way to, and I'm not even sure. I should have looked into it before we started doing this, but the buy and sell walls have moved a lot. So the early buy limits that were set at 4 and 5 cents have pretty much disappeared. So that is a good sign to let it can actually fly up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna say run right through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll run right through it. I don't think there's much sell pressure until like 10 cents. And as we approach that could get pulled as well. So
Right.
there's a lot on the other side though to keep it from going back down. A lot of the buy orders have been set there since the price started moving. But yeah, this is a interesting number that you'll definitely want to keep an eye on. As this number decreases, it means the price movement can happen quicker and quicker. So,
Right. Yeah, that is going to be really interesting as we it's interesting just to see the dynamic between hex and the rest of the market just being that uncorrelated already. And it will be, man, if it continues to rip like that, I will tell you what, people are going to do some dumb stuff probably. In term, not dumb long term, dumb short term. You always got to remember a time horizon, but it is interesting. And did you want to get into this?
Before you say, I think we've actually, we've got enough viewers now that we've got a sex find XYZ on our chat. So had to block somebody for the first time. So
well, hey, I'm happy about
it's
that.
a good sign. We've made it.
That's a great sign, yeah, because it's. I mean, I'm honored. I don't know about you, but it shows that we've hit a certain status at this point. Like,
for sure.
Enough gullible men are watching.
Yeah,
to have that. So
we'll have to get some moderators in here soon. So
yeah, I guess so. Give somebody the wrench.
Right.
So do you want to really get into this stupid garbage lawsuit against Richard Hart? I mean, this is the definition of FUD. Like people that are taking this seriously. I mean, I think it's a cautionary tale for being a dumb investor. I think that's really what it is. And if I think that gives it maybe even credence to talk about. I mean, it's not
sure
going to affect Richard Hart or Hex in the slightest, but I think it is interesting to show what not to do.
Well, it's also important to let people know what it's about. So you had one individual who spent $1,800, bought in probably around 40 cents, lost money on paper. I don't know if they sold, probably, like an idiot. Um, and now they're crying that they say Richard's a scammer. Well, I'm sorry, but markets fluctuate. There are tops, there are bottoms. It happens, and just because you've bought something at the top and decided to sell it at the bottom does not entitle you. Well, sure it does. I guess anything entitles you to a lawsuit, but it doesn't mean you're going to win. So, it's very frivolous. It's very silly. I don't see it coming to anything. It's just a waste of time. And as far as I've seen, the lawyers that took the case are probably scammers as well. They take these frivolous cases, they charge people money, and then they don't ever follow through, or they never win. So, good luck to that guy. He probably should have picked himself up some poor pleb token.
Right. Yeah. Don't know what happened to my backup camera here, but yeah, very interesting. Yeah. I don't understand the purpose or what you think. And what was the deal with like what the who the attorney was, or what the who actually was the one doing the suing? I don't really.
I don't know that we ever got a name. It's still John Doe, as far as we know. They
Yeah.
were remaining anonymous, so it's hard to say. And even when you see that type of thing, um, it could be anybody. It could be a popular personality that just doesn't like Richard. So some of the wording in it too was just very elementary. Using some of the phrases that Richard has said on stream, um, limp dick arguments or something like that, I think was actually quoted on the lawsuit. So yeah, it's just bad.
That's what
It's
you don't do. That's what I was saying to you. Like eh, complaints, like civil lawsuit complaints, don't have like all like they had their potential evidence in there and everything. It was just a very confusing, long-winded, strange rant. Exactly, yeah, crying. Yeah, it was just yeah, they were quoting like conversations that Richard has had on interview shows and stuff
yeah,
like that in it.
yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, interesting, but it is a
Anyway,
cautionary tale.
yeah, and like I said, I didn't want to, spend too much time on that, other than to tell people what it was, and if they heard there was a lawsuit, it's very frivolous and will not amount to anything. So
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you there. Um, I think we covered it all. This is a good one, action packed. We are seeing green finally in the market for the first
yeah,
time in a little while. But moral of the story: do not be fooled.
right.
We have a ways to go here. We've been saying November for months and months and months. We think could be a roundabout bottom. With this pump, and assuming it does a little bit out of the FOMC meeting next week. Then we got the midterms again the week after that. It's like I said, the whole quarter four is going to be interesting. So, do you have any parting thoughts for us, Ewok?
I do. So there was a recent article in Forbes
Hmm.
um, regarding Hex, and it was kind of,
Hmm.
I would say, half-assed done. Uh, Interestingly enough, Cabana Crypto and Motley Investor did a stream the other day with the gentleman that wrote it. He actually came on stream, and they went over a lot of the things. And
Wow.
uh, I, I want to kind of give him props for showing up, because most people that do a hit piece like that,
Right.
they won't come forward and listen and have a discussion on what they got wrong. But he was very receptive to it. You could tell that he wrote it for clicks, not so much for accuracy.
Right.
And because Motley and Cabana are both very passionate about Hex, and very popular Hexicans. They did an amazing job. Motley did a fantastic job. So I would recommend you watching that stream. It's on, I think it's on Cabana Crypto's channel. But give it a watch. It just came out the other day. But Motley was spitting fire. It would have been he probably would have gotten a standing ovation had he been on stage somewhere.
Yeah.
He did a very, very good job. So I do want to give him props, and you know, everybody hang in there. Hopefully another, you know, another half, even a half a month till we can see some sort of semblance of going one way or another. I think we'll be able to paint a little bit clearer of a picture. But yeah, hang in there. We're almost there.
Yeah, we are getting there for sure. As far as myself, tomorrow actually I have a pretty cool Matic video, Polygon Matic dropping that I was working on, which you know I've talked about it for a while, but it is one of my favorite targets here coming up for the next bull run. We talked about it a little bit earlier and kind of just having some self-discovery here tonight on the podcast, looking at just how much garbage there really is, even in the top 20 coins on Coin Market Cap, and just seeing how something like Matic, Dot, some of those up towards the top seem like, to me anyway, they might be the clear ones that do actually come back and rally hard next bull run. But I have that coming out too. We'll have a lot of material. You can find me on YouTube at Broke Boy, Boi Crypto. Same on Twitter. And Ewok, you want to let them know where they can find you again?
Yeah, Crypto Ewok, YouTube and Twitter. If you've found some enjoyment from the stream or you're watching the replay, you know, give us a subscribe on both channels if you would. Thumbs up or thumbs down, we don't care. It gets the algorithms going either way. But you know, we appreciate it, and hopefully we can grow a pretty nice following here and continue to do this for you every Wednesday evening.
Yeah, continue to get more sex bots. Also, I mean, the true marker of success, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, this has been a fun one. Next week, maybe even more fun. We shall see. We got the FOMC meetings taking place the 1st and 2nd of November next week. We'll catch you then, everybody. For Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boy Crypto on the Creed of Crypto podcast.